it's time to go, say so, and I'll know when it's time to go. When it's time to leave, don't grieve for me. When it's time to leave, but just wait. Just goodbye.
All right. How's everybody doing? It's Friday. My name is 12 Gauge. I'd like to welcome you to my channel. If you haven't been here before, hope you find what you're looking for. Hope you are committed enough that you keep coming back for more. If you've been here before, thank you for continuing to come back, continuing to give me your support, and continuing to value the information that I put out. Um, Tonight I'm going to talk about the IDAHO4 case, Never Forget the Four. And we're going to talk about Floyd's cannabis shop, which was brought up in the piece, or which was brought up in the piece that was presented by the defense and Brian Koberger's behalf about the alibi. You know, I made that little collage video earlier, not for any other reason than to really put the focus on where the focus needs to be in this case. And I believe the focus needs to be on the four that lost their lives, not necessarily the person who's on trial or the individuals losing their lives. If he somehow manages to be not guilty, then he's not guilty. If he manages to be guilty, then he's guilty. It's not my duty to discuss one way or the other, even before valuable facts have been presented. You know, I'm going to show you guys obviously some information about his alibi that you probably already heard before, but I'm going to go over it again, and then we're going to go out to Floyd's cannabis in Pullman, and then we're going to take another ride and continue on. So if you have your tinfoil hats on, you have your little small bus hats on, then let's get going. Okay, it says Koberger's alibi disputes its location on the night of the Idaho student killings. The lawyers, the PhD grad student was arrested on December 30th, 2022 at his family's home. It says lawyers for Brian Koberger, the man accused of stabbing to death 4 Idaho college students in November 22, plan to use analysis of cell phone tower data to show he is not at the home where the killings occurred at the time. Police believe the crime happened, according to a new court filing. Koberger, a one-time PhD student charged in the murders, plans to challenge the prosecutor's case with expert analysis of cell phone tower data, his lawyers said in a court filing made public Wednesday. His lawyers argue that analysis shows Koberger was not only at the King Road home where 4 students were found stabbed to death, but that he was driving elsewhere. Mr. Koberger was out driving in the early morning hours of November 13, 2022, as he often did, to hike and run and see the moon and the stars. He drove throughout the area south of Pullman, Washington, west of Moscow, Idaho, Koberger's lead attorney Ann Taylor said in the filing. If you've never seen Mr. Koberger, there he is, all dressed up, ready for court. Prosecutors have alleged that in the early hours of November 13, Koberger broke into an off-campus home and stabbed 4 University of Idaho students. You know this: Ethan, Madison, Xana, and Kaylee. He was a criminology student that we know at nearby Washington State University. He was indicted in May 2023 and charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of burglary. When he was arraigned, he declined to offer a plea, so the judge entered a plea of not guilty on his behalf. If he's convicted, he could face the death penalty. It said after Koberger moved to the area in June 2022, his lawyer said his avid habit as a runner and hiker prompted him to explore his new surroundings. But as the school year got busy, those hikes increasingly became nighttime drives. Taylor added that the alibi is supported by data from Mr. Koberger's phone, showing him in the countryside late at night and or the early morning on several occasions, including numerous pictures from several different late evenings and early mornings, including in November depicting the night sky. That drive included Wayway Park, a remote area along Snake River, about 20 miles away from Koberger's apartment at the time and roughly 28 miles away from the off-campus home where the killings occurred. To back up the defense's alibi claim, Koberger's legal team told the court they intend to offer the testimony of their own expert to show that Brian Koberger's mobile device was south of Pullman, Washington, and west of Moscow, Idaho, on November 13, 2022. That Brian Koberger's mobile device did not travel east on the Moscow-Pullman highway in the early morning hours of November 13th, and thus his could not be the car captured on video traveling along the Moscow-Pullman highway near a local cannabis shop. Further details after Mr. Koberger's whereabouts at the early morning hours progressed, including analysis from their expert, will be provided once the state provides discovery requested, Taylor wrote in a newly released court document. This is what she said: if not disclosed, Cy Ray, their expert testimony, will also reveal that critical exculpatory evidence further corroborating Mr. Koberger's alibi was either not preserved or has been withheld. Wednesday's filing aligned with previous comments from the defense about Koberger's whereabouts the night of the murder. That he was driving around alone that night, which they could have claimed had long been a habit of his. After a 6-week hunt, police zeroed in on Koberger, the suspect in the murders of the students, arresting him in December 2022 at his family's home in Pennsylvania. Investigators have said they relied in part on records from cell phone towers and on surveillance video of a car seen in the area King Road home on the night of the killing, which in part they have said includes a 2-hour time span and those after midnight hours where Koberger's phone stops reporting to the network, which is consistent with either the phone being in an area without cell coverage, the connection to the network is disabled, such as putting the phone in airplane mode, or that the phone is turned off. A trial date has not been set. Okay. Hi, Golf Inspector. Hi, Alex. Well, since we're talking about this, um, it's imperative to take from this what his lawyer stated. In June 2022, his lawyer said his avid habit as a runner and hiker prompted him to explore his new surrounding. But as school got busy, those hikes increasingly became nighttime drives. So, if you've ever lived in a different area and you had a busy schedule, you know, you don't know anybody, and you're looking to wind down. I don't know about you, but I've lived in various areas where I've moved there and didn't know a soul. And since Brian was in recovery, obviously, unless otherwise stated by anybody that's talking on his behalf out here on these streams or anything, it's likely to say that he was in recovery, right? So being in recovery, they teach you about holistic things to do to continue to clear your mind, to get your recovery mindset right. And one of those things is to find the God spot. And God, not like the spiritual God, I'm talking about good, orderly direction. So that would be him finding somewhere that he found peaceful, somewhere to clear his mind. So think about it. He's a teaching assistant, he has classes all day. He really doesn't know anybody because it's been reported that his father was the one that contacted the neighbor to kind of invite himself to the pool party that summer. So until then, he was out and about doing his own thing. So he was traveling to find a place of serenity. And I'm speculating here, but you know, it's easy to understand this. It's not difficult. In golf, you're right. You said, wow, the first time a mainstream news source actually reports the news and not trying to control the narrative. That's so true. That was a ABC News article. So it was spoken that his lawyer stated that it wasn't his vehicle that was seen by the cannabis shop. So I did a little digging today and I thought, you know, I'm a visual learner and I'm a visual person that like to present things based on vision. So I was thinking, I'm going to go look at this place on the maps and see exactly what type of place it was. And this is Floyd's right here. Floyd's Cannabis Shop. Nice little looking place. Excuse the dog barking. I don't know what his problem is today, but excuse his barking. So, based on the information that they're talking about, as you can see in the front right here, to go to Moscow would be going, I think it said west, and going to Pullman would be east. So if he's coming down this road right here, he's going south of Pullman. So he would be coming from this direction. Okay? He would be coming this direction right here. Coming this direction. I'm sure they got cameras at that Toyota. So he would be coming this direction, hit this light, and we all know lights have these little nice little cameras. You know, that one does it. But these do. See him? So he would be going south of Pullman. He's already on the road to Moscow. This would be 95, I think. So he'd make a left right here. So this camera probably would have gotten him right here. And I don't know that perhaps him going, good evening, Aquarius, him going left right here and being captured by this camera or Floyds, if they have a camera, that's quite a distance to capture a vehicle, but I wouldn't put it behind them. I mean, this is a dispensary and it dispenses cannabis products. So if he would have made a left, he would have been going this way. Of course, it would have been either in the evening or according to the PCA, he left his house at 2:45 or 2:42. Look, they've already blocked out their sign just in that quick. There it is. So let's see what Floyd's has to offer here. Also went into their website and I wanted to see what time they closed and what they had to offer as far as what this place is all about. Because obviously it was important enough to put in that article or in the paperwork that was filed by the attorney. So this place is located in Pullman. So it's south of Pullman. It says Floyd Cannabis Company is proud to introduce their top shelf marijuana selection to dispensary customers of Pullman, Washington, and beyond. Pullman stands as Whitman County's most populated city located in eastern Washington near the border of Idaho. The city is host to Martin Stadium, home of the Washington State University Cougars, with friendly customer service and a boisterous stock of the state's finest marijuana product. Floyd Cannabis Company invites novice users to seasoned consumers to sample their cannabis selection. So here's Floyd's. And as you can see here, it would have been a Saturday night into Sunday that he would have went that direction, of course. Here's another map. I don't know if you can see this map, but here's another map. So here's WSU, and if you all know, he he lives around this area. So he would have went this way. Here's that area that I was telling you about that turned around here. And there is Floyd's. So he would have taken the road south of Pullman, which is right here, and headed on down. So, like I was saying, Floyd's is only open Monday through Sunday from 8 a.m. to 10:45 p.m. So, if he was traveling that direction, let's say from 2 to, what did it say, 4:28 or so. So let's say from 2 o'clock to 4:28. That camera would have gotten him at that intersection, but Floyd would have been long closed. He wouldn't have been able to go into Floyd's Cannabis Company. Um, Here they're talking about their happy hours, not only for the bars, discount the first 2 hours and the last 2 hours the store is open. So top shelf cannabis strains like LA Confidential, Black Cherry Soda, Ancient Orange, and Blueberry come from their professional cultivation partners. Their dispensary also features premium extracts, keef, shatter, and crumble to cater to the connoisseur marijuana community. I myself do not ingest in cannabis use, but if you are one of those that ingest in cannabis use, then you know what they're talking about here. And here's some of their products. Actually, I talk about not doing these products actually to the one that I do services for. It's $45 for guava breath, 20.97% THC. That's pretty strong. So if you're ever in the area, head on down to Floyd's. They can cater to your cannabis needs, big, medium, or large increments. So that's a little bit about Floyd's. I wanted to really mostly focus on the hours of operation because if they were open 24 hours, that would be a different thing. If they were open 24 hours, then I would have said, well, that's part of the reason that was mentioned was because of the 24-hour dispensary. But as you can tell, they close at 10:45. So, unless he pulled over to smoke a joint, people don't smoke a joint anymore, but you get the point. Unless he pulled over to smoke in the parking lot before he continued on to his destination, that camera would have most likely gotten him turning left because he was heading to the Way Park. I'm going to call it the WWW Park, okay? Because that's just too much wow stuff. All right, so that goes with that. Man, the dog is on one today. So let me show you some daytime. Let's see if we can go down Floyd's a little bit and check out that road. Yes, indeed, 100%. Golf says 100% they have surveillance cameras. You're right. You're so right. Let me take myself off the screen. Well, I keep messing that up, bro. There we go. That's bigger. So let's go down this road a little bit. Let's see what's down this road. So, mind you, he would have been driving this road 11 times, actually 12, if you're going with what the PCA says. Early morning hours or late in the evening. So I've never been to this part of the country, so I can't even really comment on a lot of it because it just looks really mountainous and flat in some areas. Like there's some trees, there's mounds of dirt and stuff. So there's not a lot out here. It doesn't look like. Which, if you're looking for solitude, if you're looking to get your mind right, this would be a perfect place to be driving. Wouldn't you guys want to be driving in the middle of the night or in the early morning down this direction to clear your head? I mean, just to go chill? Because we don't know what his personality's like. We don't know if he has, being a TA is very stressful, I can imagine. Doing his studies to be a PhD would be quite stressful, I could imagine. But look at this road. It just goes on forever. And a lot of people have debunked this already. They've already said that there's no way that this could have happened. I'm not one of those people because I give everything the benefit of the doubt. It's a nice little soccer field. Look at that big house right there. You know, there's no reason why he couldn't have driven down this road more than once. What is this? Miniature golf. Yeah, I'm sure those houses and even this place right here has some cameras. So, there's no reason he wouldn't have been able to be driving these roads to go clear his head. What do y'all think, chat? It looks like there's six of y'all in here. Do y'all believe that he would have been driving down this road? Could it be possible that he drove down this road to go clear his head, take some pictures? Because if he's like me, and I like to put myself in people who have been accused of things or who are facing things that they're trying to defend, I like to put myself in their position. And like I said, I've been here before. I have been in this position where I've actually just driven around looking for some water. Okay. Because the holistic mindset state that if you get near some water, it automatically calms you down. And could he have gone closer? Of course he could have. But the driving in itself calms you down. That plus going to your spot, there's another place right here. I'm just going down this road. And this could not even been the road that he took. It looks like there's multiple ways to get there, so I'm just saying. Alex says, yeah, it seems a nice place to calm down. Golf says, absolutely. I want to know who has already disapproved this as a possibility. How could they without information? Well, they're saying that how would he be able to go this direction toward the park? And they're saying that they're just trying to make up a weak alibi in order to find out what the prosecution already knows and trying to prepare themselves to debunk everything that they have against them, which sounds silly. It's really silly. I don't know what that is. Looks like a junkyard or something. So they have to have cameras. If this is the route, and there's like a little garage area. What's it say? Tail wagging adventures. Yeah, I'm sure there's cameras somewhere. Right here, maybe. But anyways, let me get off this road and take you to the park because that's what I want you to see. Once you see the park area, you're gonna be like, man, I can see exactly why he would enjoy driving to that area. Let me get there. Okay. Before I start on this, let me see what Golf has to say. She said in a recent motion hearing, Ann mentioned waiting on surveillance footage from the night, hinting on there is footage of Koberger on camera that will sure be material to defense. Of course, I remember that. I remember that. So here is part of that park area that I was just showing you. You can get to this area obviously on both lanes. So if you're coming this way, look, there's water there, there's water there, there's a railroad track there. I don't know what they're trying to hide out there. A couple trees. See, they've already blocked that out. Like they don't want people to see these specific trees or something. I don't know. It's already blocked out. I noticed that today. But if you go forward, you can see, oh, look, water. No, but think about this. If you're going in the late evening or in the morning, how peaceful must this be? If you're just driving by this, I would park my car. It looks like there's a little area. They won't let you get down in that area, but it looks like you can go down in there and park your car, walk down to the water. See it just has like a little road right there, and it goes all the way back around, but it won't let you see there's a guy or there's somebody parked right there. Hope they're not doing anything nefarious, but you park your car right here and you walk over here and you can do some fishing or, something of that nature. You can just sit there and take pictures all day or just sit there and listen to some calming music, waiting for the train to go by. People act like they don't do these types of things. Like this would be something that nobody would ever do. I myself have done this. I have done this. I've looked for the most serene place to go unwind because when you're stressed out, when you have all kinds of addictions and the addictive mindset, and you're trying to give yourself a peaceful backdrop to kind of think, because I don't know about you, but thinkers, they like the yin and the yang of life. Like if you're invested in learning and knowledge and things of that nature, there must be a different portion to where there's no learning needed. It's just a visual. See, this is mile number 14. So along this road right here on both sides, or at least on this side, there's a there's a path where you can either have a bike or be jogging along the water's edge. And as I was saying, to be a thinker, to need a place to chill so that your mindset doesn't implode, what better place to do it? Man, this would be a perfect spot. I'd love to go here. Good place to discard a weapon. Yeah, that too. Stopping in to show support and leave some DNA on a thumbs up. Thank you so much. Mr. Clark, you're right. I mean, that's going the other direction. If he came and did the crime, he could actually throw the weapon in there. Have they searched it? I don't know. See, there's a boat ramp, parking, picnic area. But he could have discarded that weapon anywhere. It doesn't necessarily have to come out here to do it. You could throw that weapon anywhere in any of these areas, and it's going to take forever for anybody to find it. Because I mean, you saw how how desolate the drive is. There's plenty of areas to throw a weapon out there, and there's a forest. See, there's a table. Just sit there and chill, clear your mind. But of course, people will say, Who would do that? Who would drive out by the lake and, especially in the evening, why would you go out there to clear your mind? Why would you do this? Why would you do that? You know, I'm going to show you another view of this on the other side. But you could do a lot of things out here in this area. I mean, if they came out here to eat, picnic, whatever, in those times, maybe there was a lot of people here. Maybe this was a gathering spot for people to come and actually chill. You know, you never know. If you're lonely, you're going to try to look for, you're going to do one or two things. You're either going to try to isolate more if you're an introvert, or if you're an extrovert and you're lonely, you're going to go looking for places where you can probably think that there's going to be action. I don't know what this is. Might be a bathroom, maybe. But look at this. I mean, it's not much to look at right now, but I'm sure, like in November, the trees and everything else changing colors, all that. And this is a boat ramp right here. Looks like a boat ramp. Go down that way, right here. So even this shot right here, look at, if you were walking right here and the sun is going down and start to peek over the mountains and start to glisten on the water, that would be a hell of a shot, would it now? If you have an open mind, would that not be a good shot if you're taking pictures? How many of you agree with me or disagree? That would be an awesome shot, but that's just me. You know, I could spend all day out here and not even care whether my phone was on, whether it was off. Heck, I go tubing here where I live, and once I get to this one area, I have no service whatsoever because it's surrounded by hills and stuff like that. I have no service. And I don't really ever know when I lose service. I just know after the first couple of times that I didn't have any service. But, you know, I just leave the phone in the car or in the truck. Look at this. Just amazing. And like I said, I'm not trying to prove whether he's guilty or whether he's innocent. Whichever one he is, I hope, you know, I hope they do the right thing. I hope they really find him guilty if he's guilty, and if he's innocent, let the man go already. But the sad part being that if he is guilty, that means all these months, all these years, the real killers are still out there. That's the sad part about it. Look at that. So if you wanted to pull your car up right there, pull that bad boy right there, back it up, pop the trunk, put some music on, sit there in your little lawn chair and just chill. Maybe that's not for you. Maybe you're not an outside person. So this sounds ridiculous to you. Maybe you're in the city and you don't enjoy this type of thing. So that's why it sounds so ridiculous to you that somebody would actually want to do this. What do y'all think, chat? Do you think that you would enjoy this area to go unwind? You can definitely see the stars. I promise you. At night, it's clear as hell. There's, the you could just lay right here on the picnic table, look back behind it, and capture all the stars you wanted to see if that's what you were doing. Little fire pit right there, or a place to toss the knife if you wanted, a place to toss your overalls, your bloody your bloody booties, your bloody this, that, and the other, any place to hide any evidence, if that's what you want to do. Or hell, even to go out here and sacrifice a raccoon or a cat or whatever, because killing four people is just not enough. So you got to go do some more killing. It's a hell of a spot for it. Nobody could find you. You know, I just think it's interesting that people don't have the capacity to challenge their beliefs if they have critical thinking skills. What is ridiculous is because it's not for you, it's not for anyone else as well. Star and moon gazing is amazing. I personally do not do this enough. Very, very good statement, Golf. And that's true. I mean, just because it's not for you, so it's not for anybody else. It's like you're saying, you can see the little map down at the bottom. So you're right at the edge of the water. See these people, you can't even see where they're at, but they're there obviously, or they parked their vehicle. What I'd like to do is, if I was here, I'd I'd bring my kayak and launch off right here and just take off. Just take off down this river, exploring. And who's to say that they don't rent kayaks here? Nobody knows exactly what he did. If he went to this place 12 times, you don't know what he did. Obviously, he enjoyed it enough to keep going back. So there was something he did here. I mean, just because you're given the information that says he took pictures and he gave the stars and stuff does not mean that he didn't do other things. Because, like I'm telling you about the place that I go to, it's desolate like this. But you can rent kayaks along the river, and you can kayak. Ann Taylor is one of the worst lawyers I've seen in decades. Innocent people request a speedy trial as opposed to rotting in there during the prime of life. It's not just the DNA, the video canvas too. Well, thank you for your comment. You continue on. I hope this isn't too boring to you, but I'm going to show you another view here in a minute. It's going to make this view look like grade school, honestly. So you can continue all the way down. No telling how long this road is. As you can see in the bottom corner, it's all along the waterway. There's more people. Looks like this person is either having car problems or putting something under the hood, getting something. Maybe he got a tackle box, whatever. Looks like he has all kinds of stuff. Maybe he just threw a knife in the water. Maybe he just killed somebody, has their body in the back of the pickup. We never know. Because look, this would be a perfect place to have a picnic. Look at that. Great photo, backdrop, you know, right ahead. I don't know. I just love stuff like this. But if you don't, that's perfectly fine. I mean, that's your life. I'm not trying to convince you that you need to change or, anything like that. But this is pretty awesome, man. So it goes on and on and on and on and on. Let me show you the money shot here. Here's the money shot. This is part of the park on the other side. The river folds around on the other side of this ledge area, but this was the park part that I was able to go toward. There's like a road up around here that leads on down. But look at this. Most definitely, you could get some money shots with your camera right here. Or throw your knives in the water, throw your serial killing stuff in the water, whatever you want to do, or just sit here and chill because it's a long way down. You got to hike. That's why they said he liked to hike, he liked to run. Can you imagine what kind of cardio you'd get out of hiking this mountain right here? Getting to the other side where your car is at? Just to sit right here and just chill. Listen to water going. Hell, who knows? Maybe he jumped in over the side. Who knows? Maybe he was a adrenaline junkie. We don't know the guy. And if you know the guy, then you know what type of personality he has, or you can guesstimate based on what you've heard other people say. But that's not who I am, and that's probably why I'm not so popular because I don't like to guess on things. I don't like to say, well, yes, this is this and this is that because this is what other people have pulled up, and I'm going to go with their narrative. Because think about it. I think what I did early on in creating this channel, I told people that I was not going to have them emailing me tips and all this other stuff for me to be chasing around to get material. And so I think that kind of pissed people off because in my mindset, what's the difference in that and all the people that say that the police contaminated the evidence? You're looking for your own evidence, but you're basing your opinion on somebody contaminating theirs. What would be, it's like somebody pushing their narrative towards you, something that you didn't bet, something that you didn't look up, and you're going to present it to the world. So I just don't believe in things like that. So let's get back to this shot, man. I mean, it looked overcast on this day when this was taken in May 2021. So this wasn't long before the murders occurred. He could have thrown the murder weapon right there, and landed in some trees. Nobody's ever going to find it. He didn't have to throw it in the river. He could have buried it along the side of the mountain, taken another shovel with him, buried it under one of these plants. Who knows? But if you know anything about people that kill other people, a lot of times they like to keep the murder weapon. You know why? Because if and when they get the opportunity, and the operative word is opportunity, to do it again, they already have something they're familiar with. They don't have to start all over from square one, trying to figure out how to use this knife or how to use this gun or this, that, and the other. They already know because they've used it before. Hey, Paula. She says, hi, 12 gauge and everyone. Yes, it's beautiful, but need to consider it was when pitch black late night, early morning, as AT stated. Also, probably foggy since Moscow had freezing fog that morning. Of course. Of course. Thank you for your comment. I missed this one. Linda Farley. Sounds like Cy Ray is an expert witness that really knows geolocation, geofencing, and location pinging from cell towers to a T. Thank you for your comment. Very good comment. All of these comments are good, guys. I mean, like I said, who am I to agree or disagree with you? You know what I mean? Who am I? How can you have a speedy trial when all the evidence is hidden? She will pull him out because he's innocent. There's still not evidence presented all the way after all that time. Hey, Sabrina. Thank you for your comment. Regardless of innocence or guilt, I hope that you take a moment to think about, and this is what I've been trying to present on my channel since day one that I started streaming. Like I told you earlier on, I said I like to place myself in the mind of the mindset of the killer or the person accused of the crime. So if you put yourself in that position, let's say he did the same thing, because I don't know who this man is. I have no clue what his mental state is, how he thinks, how his critical thinking is. I don't have anything just because people say certain things, think of how people describe you. Think of how they talk about you. They might not give you the credit due, and you're smarter than most people, but they just don't give you the credit because they don't like you. So they say you're stupid or you're reckless or whatever. So you're sitting here early morning, because that does look overcast. I mean, May 2021, it already looks like it looks pretty cold out here. Whether it's foggy or whether it's not, I mean, open your mind a little bit. Open your mind and go with me on this for a little bit, please. I want you to think that if it was like that, well, let me ask you a question, because I'm not trying to be argumentative. I don't want you to think of it like that, because I'm not that type of person. I want you to ask yourself this question. You wrote it was foggy that night and wanting Gibbon's moon, not a night for stargazing with phone off. Okay, fair enough. But what if just because we've heard stargazing and just because we've heard looking at the moon or taking pictures or whatever, is there no other reason to be out here? Is there no other reason? Let's take Brian out of it. Let's say there's other people out here late night, late evening, early morning. Because, if you're a fisherman, those are perfect times to be fishing. And I've seen a lot of people catch fish and send me pictures, and it's dark outside almost. That's not what I'm saying. Did you hear me say that at all? If you believe he's guilty, that's good. Like I said, he's either guilty or he's innocent, one or the other. Somebody's going to be right. But it being so emotionally involved that you call out other people like you're doing, what's your end game? What the end game? What do you want to achieve? Goff says there are two assumptions in your statement. One was his phone was off. Two, he was there to specifically stargaze that night. That's what I was saying. I mean, there's people that could be out there fishing. That could be out there, they could have just had an argument with their significant other, or they could have just wanted to go on a drive. Have you just wanted to say, hey, I'm going to get in my car, I'm going to go for a drive? And one thing that people don't talk about and one thing that they don't say is, in order to run a vehicle, you need gasoline, right? So let's say that there's a gas receipt on the night of the murders. Him gassing up before he went out there. Because that's quite a drive. So that's perspective. Let me remind you that Ellie did not have Brian's phone when they wrote the PCA. That's true. So he stopped to get some gas because most of us, when we're going on a drive, we're going to need some gasoline. We've already went that way. So look at, this is the day, and that other view was kind of the evening. So if this is all foggy, or it's cold, or whatever, which I don't disagree with, because I didn't look at the weather on that day before I got on here, because I didn't really see any relevance to it. They give you one thing, and you kind of you get you get to that mindset where you're like, okay, this is what it is, and this is all it could be. Hopefully nobody that watches these ever gets arrested, because you don't want the police to be narrow-minded, or you don't want them to be pigeonholed and thinking that you're the only one that could commit this crime. No, but there was a reason for a man his age to stalk women on a Saturday night with no date. It all adds up. Not one single thing. 17-page PCA was outstanding. That's great. That's great that you believe that. I do believe he was probably there before. When PCA said he was in Clarkston, I wondered if he took this route home. I was shocked when AT stated he often went there. And what made you so shocked? I'm curious to know. Because I think we forget the humanity of people. We forget that people are human. Once they're charged with something, then all of a sudden, or once they're presumed to be linked to something, then automatically they are guilty and they get dehumanized. There's no way that they could have been out here just chilling, driving around, walking around, trying to clear their head, drinking some beer, smoking some weed, listening to music. Hell, according to you guys, stalking some other prey. There was plenty of houses around here. I mean, because at that point he hadn't gotten caught for anything. And that's what you have to remember. He was not on the radar for any crime whatsoever. So for him to be out here just chilling and driving around and looking at things, and that's a nice tractor. What is not so far fetched. He gave the phone number when pulled over by a female officer. What does that have to do with anything? Honestly, what does that have to do with anything? The fact that you're talking about things that I'm not even talking about means that you're not even open-minded enough to even think that anything that I'm saying on this live is plausible. That means that you have your mind made up and you don't want to hear anything anybody else has to say regarding the possibility that something could be different. And that's fine. But you also have to remember that this case has been going on for a long time, and all your arguments that you're stating right now have already been stated by other people. And they probably, just like yourself and other people that believe things, they're fixated on what their mindset says, not what the person who's presenting the live is saying, which that person is me. So basically, what I'm saying to you does not matter because you have your mind made up on He's guilty or he's innocent. You can't see anything past that. And that's sad that you have tunnel vision like that because everybody deserves the benefit of the doubt. Sorry to hear that. Sorry to hear that. Human beings don't savagely butcher 4 young people. You know, that's a statement right there, and you're right. But how do you know he did it? Do you know something that I don't know? Kind of based like this other creator that I saw, they posted that Bethany saw Brian at this park, and that's the exculpatory evidence. How would somebody know that? How would somebody know that? How would we know, other than what's been presented to us in the PCA, whether this individual is guilty or innocent? We don't know if he slaughtered a soul. We really don't. What we do know is what we base our mindset on and where we want to go with our own narrative. His paid alibi was wrong in other cases. Check him out. This is all I've heard about his alibi. I haven't heard that there's other areas of his alibi, his paid alibi. So as you can see, there's a lot of farmland. I don't even know if this is farmland, but there's a lot of rural areas. See this little house right here? Could just walk down here, go bury your knife, go bury your bloody clothes, go bury your some souvenir that you took, walk back up to your car, and drive off, and no one's the wiser. That's what people want you to believe, that this happened. I'm not saying that it couldn't have happened, okay? I'm not saying it couldn't have happened. But think about the common sense of what you say before you say it. But think about what you say before you say it. Because once it's out, everybody hears it, everybody knows your stance. And if you're wrong later on, are you still going to stand behind your statement even if it's wrong? Like all the people that have this man guilty. Look at this little bitty house. These are very isolated places, man. Horse trailer. You know, at one point we're going to know whether this man is guilty, innocent, or he's going to plea. And getting back on your statement as far as him rotting in a jail cell. Hey, Jeff, I hope you feel better, buddy. Him rotting in a jail cell if he's innocent. Well, at this point, he really doesn't have a choice. He can't just say, hey, I didn't do it. Let me go. Because the judge has struck down motions to dismiss the case. And once a motion is struck down to dismiss the case, it means that you're going to go to trial. Look at that interesting place right there. Wonder if that's where they grow some weed at. Maybe they just grow some tomatoes or something in that place. I'm sure if they were chilling right there, they would have saw the white Elantra cruise by here many times. You know, Think about that. Think about what I just said. People want their opinion to be heard. I get that. And there's nothing wrong with it. Like I said, everybody's open to their own opinion and understanding of what this case brings. But I don't like getting into that whole speculative this is this and this is that. It's been too long of a case already for people to still be fighting one side or the other. What are you going to get out of it? If he's guilty, are you going to be able to go and stand in line with the firing squad? Are they going to give you a gun and a bullet and say, okay, you get your shot because you were one of our supporters that said that he was guilty, so you earned this? And if he's not guilty, are you going to get to tell the world, nah, 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 I told you it wasn't guilty? It just sounds so childish. And if you're a lawyer, if you're this or that, and you're talking like you are, well, that's fine. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a defense attorney. I'm none of that. Prior to this sci-ray expert, it seemed pretty evident that experts, at least on the prosecution side, can be questionable and perhaps untrustworthy. If that's true, isn't that true on both sides? What can be, and the only reason he was asked to give this alibi, if you remember, is the prosecution would not give up on it because they were not going to let the defense cross-examine any witnesses without an alibi, if y'all remember that correctly. So all of you that say, well, he didn't have to give an alibi, he could have stayed quiet, he could have shut his mouth, pled the fifth. Well, once again, using your logic, if he's innocent, why would he not want to cross-examine the prosecutor's witnesses if he's innocent? So he gave his alibi. I mean, I think it's pretty slick what he said because, I mean, how many people would think of an alibi like that if it wasn't true? You think he spent all this time thinking about the coolest alibi ever? And the coolest alibi that I can think of is I was out driving by this park where no one can prove that I've been there one time. One thing I can tell you is if you drive this area, any area in the US, okay? If you drive any area in the US enough, you're gonna get to know people on that route. We're talking alibi, not pleading. I agree with you, 12 gauge. It just was a jigsaw puzzle. We only had one third of pieces. A person coming along saying they confidently know each what the picture, just speculating. I think it was going to be this alibi when it take on this year to come up with. Could have said I was here. We're still working to find an expert to verify. Well, would that have been good enough for you if he would have said that? Because obviously y'all have some feelings behind it. You know what I mean? Would that have been good enough for him to say, hey, this is as much as we got. We're still finding an expert to verify. Well, they found an expert to verify. And I think what makes people mad is this expert seems to know his stuff. And as another creator stated last night on a video that I was watching of theirs, he used to work for the prosecution. He used to put people away. This is his first case with a defense trying to get somebody off. So is that coincidence or is that belief of the evidence that he has seen to show that this individual is innocent. When you've been on the other side all your career and then all of a sudden you want to go toward the defense, risk your reputation and everything, you must see something that everybody out here in YouTube world is not prevalent to see, and you must have education behind your beliefs and your thoughts to give you a shot at standing on that or putting yourself on that stand and speaking about the geolocations and things of that matter. Okay, so you say it would sound better than driving around. Tell me what part of that you have a problem with. Him driving around in this area that I've showed you, or hell, even a couple blocks down from his house, because he doesn't have to drive all the way here to drive around. I think that's what people forget too. It's like I was out driving around. That doesn't mean that he specifically went to one place every time. What part of that, him driving around, do you have a problem with? If Ann Taylor didn't inform the last expert about non-dissemination order, wonder what stuff she hasn't said to Cy Ray guy. Maybe his confident claims are based on part. Paula, I want to know what your thought process is on that, because that is a statement, you know. I'm not wanting to know so I can shoot it down or anything like that. I'm just wanting to know what you're thinking, because what makes that statement of him driving around not good enough? Because in essence, that's what we do is when we're given information, we instantly process it and we say, yes, this passes the reality of this could happen. But has anything in this case, to anybody that's been watching it, does anything in this case make sense to you? Does anything in this case make sense to you? To say that, I mean, would you have expected anything less than this alibi? What if they would have pulled out a gas receipt and said, "Look, he stopped at the Shell at 3 o'clock of the third on the morning of the 13th, and we're going to show that receipt, and there's no way that he could have been at 1122 King Road because he was getting gas. We have him on camera." I guarantee you, as much attention as this case has gotten over the time that it happened, people would not believe that. They'd say the receipt was false, the camera footage wasn't real. There's no way I got to go to that gas station myself to see that it actually pumps gas and there's real gas coming out of the pumps. And no, he paid the person that works there to fabricate him one. Has your phone ever been off? You ever wonder how many people are dying when your phone is off? She didn't make that up. She didn't say that. It's in the PCA. And we can have a nice discussion. We really can. And I'm enjoying this tonight. I'm glad that you are here to talk about this situation because it's been fueling people's minds for a long time now, and it's going to continue until we go to trial. They would have done it already. Why wait? If someone saw him, why wait 2.5 years? 2 years. There's that question right there. Why? When you ask that question, why? The moment you ask that question to anybody about anything, that's a preconceived word that will never be filled, meaning that somebody could give you the evidence to answer that question. And the basis that you have that why in your mindset, that state that it will never be good enough. So I could give you that answer if I knew it, but it wouldn't be good enough for you because anytime that you ask somebody why, that's you doubting them even before they have a chance to show you what evidence they have to answer your question. So ask them what, where, when, how. That way they can give you the answer that you're looking for. You could have said, they would have done it already. What caused them to wait 2.5 years? Then somebody can give you a logical answer that you're open minded to receive. One night out of 13 where 4 people are murdered, the FBI and DOJ is framing have no similar violence in Moscow since. Are you from that area? Mr. Clark, are you from that area? I'm just curious. What is your definition of violence? Because I can recall that there was a football fight not long ago that got pretty violent. It might have not been 4 people murdered, but I'm sure people went to the hospital because of the injuries, or maybe they got taped up because of their injuries or any of that. I mean, I'm not trying to be facetious, but you're saying violence. No similar violence in Moscow since. And there has been similar violence, just not people being murdered. With these latest alibi claims, and I apologize for not being familiar with the whole document, are they saying this expert can prove using BK's phone location that he wasn't anywhere near Moscow? That's exactly what they're saying. They're they're saying that he was south of Moscow. I mean, south of Pullman, nowhere near Moscow. I live in this area. I still remember what I was doing when I heard about the crime and what I was doing at the time of the crime. If I was driving around, I would be figuring out if I came across them. Okay. Do you live close to this river? Have you ever went out there and chilled? Have you ever went out there and hung out, cleared your head, went for a picnic or anything like that? Paula? Just asking. Because it looks like a nice area to do that in. I mean, that's why I'm asking. So it sounds like this would be a battle of the experts from both sides. One thing's for sure, he can't be in 2 places at once. But if I were his age, I would be transparent and yell, who saw me? Not wait 2 years. Insane. Well, that's true. But Jeff and I and another person had a discussion one night when I don't know if y'all watched any of the other videos, but we're discussing the Elantra. And we were retracing the path because we were open-minded enough to think of how he could have went so many passes around the house, around Walenta, all through that road, and then back around. When that conversation we were having, it became evident that one person, Jeff, was thinking different than the other two. because based on what the FBI had told Ann Taylor, this was the wrong car at the wrong time or heading in the wrong direction. Meaning that the car that they had found on Walenta heading the wrong way at the wrong time. That was the first inconsistency that I remember hearing about. And we got into a nice little debate that night about that because words have different meanings to different people and they have different understanding to different people. And there's nothing wrong in asking questions, but whenever you ask a question, you have to be open-minded enough to see someone else's perspective, even if it's not your own. Adults have that capability. So what I'm saying based on that example is the wrong car at the wrong direction could very well mean that that car that night might have not even been Mr. Koberger's. Maybe they got all these cars confused. Or maybe not. Maybe they got the right car. Well, no mass murder, you compare that to teenagers in a fight. Good grief. No, I compared that to violence, the word violence. You said there's not been any violence since. Look up what the word violence means, and you tell me then that I'm using it incorrectly because you said there's been no violence since, and there has been violence since. So you can say good grief if you like, but you're the one that said it, not me. I've been here for over 30 years and never been on that road past that bridge. I thought the road ended at the ports. It looks like it goes for a long time. I mean, it looks really long. It looks like a good spot. FBI experts on cell data say otherwise. Battle of experts. Google CrowdStrike. No. There were 2 people killed recently in that area. Prison escape from Boise ended up there. Oh, that's where they ended up. The one that were those the one that shot the cops at the hospital? Is that where they went? To that area? But what I'm saying, guys, is basically this is you can have your opinion, but when you get on somebody's live and you're blatantly disagreeing with them, I can't hear your voice. I can't hear how you're speaking, how you're meaning your word. That's like you sending me a text and it sounds angry, but you're not angry at all. You're basically just trying to get your point across. And I'm not trying to say that you're being defiant or anything, any of y'all. I'm just saying it's hard to read some of these comments because you don't know. I don't know you. I don't know your personality. I don't know how you present your wording. I don't know what kind of passion you have regarding certain things that you say. So you have to be fair to think, hey, this guy don't know who I am. I could be anybody and he doesn't know. The only person that I've ever spoke to in this chat are Sabrina and Jeff. And I've actually spoke to Jeff on the phone. I've talked to him, and I know his mannerisms. I've heard them, so I don't know if that Elantra had a front plate or not. But Ann Taylor stated that it was the wrong car heading in the wrong direction. Okay. Man, I'm glad they caught them. That was wild how that happened. You said serious violence since. You didn't say murder. I get the sense with lawyers that many of their statements they make are intentionally made, non-committal, and a bit unclear, leave wiggle room. Yes, they did shoot those 2 guards. The WWW park is closed from dusk till 7 a.m. I wonder if that will factor into any of this. So let me ask you this, Jeff, because I know you're a thinker, okay? If I'm driving out there late in the evening, dusk, okay? They lock the gates, and I'm going to stay the night over there. So I leave in the morning, head back to my apartment. The man didn't sleep, right? That's what we heard. Ditto as for you pleasing his innocence. I'm not pleading anyone's innocence. If I was pleading his innocence, I think I've basically showed both sides in most of the things that I've done on here. So obviously, Mr. Clark, your perspective is the man is guilty. How could one person have massacred four people? There's nothing wrong with what you think or what you believe. But at the same time as me giving you your credence, I'd appreciate it if you gave me mine, which I'm in the gray area. I don't believe at this point that I've ever had enough information to believe whether he's innocent or guilty. Okay. Yes, indeed. So all I'm saying is this, as far as all this is concerned, I mean, it's gotten way out of hand for a lot of people. And even some of the creators have infuriated their chats and tried to almost demand that they choose a side. That's not what my streams are about. I'm not doing these streams to for you to. My mic keeps unplugging. I'm not doing these for you to choose a side. I'm doing these streams just to get a different perspective on the information that's given. Any of the information. Not made up information. I know earlier I was talking about going down that road and all the things you could see and all the things you could do. Well, that's my own perspective. Like I said, I like to put myself in the perspective of the situation I'm talking about because I can't talk about anybody else's perspective other than my own. I can't talk about Brian's perspective. I don't know Brian. I don't know anybody he grew up with. I don't know anybody who knows him, you know? So for me to sit there and say that I know what type of person he is, well, it hasn't even been reported that a K-bar knife was used on those four people. There has been no reports of what kind of knife was used on any of those people. There hasn't. Most of the assumption has been because of the knife sheath. So people instantly feel that based on the knife sheath, it had to be a K-bar. And we don't know if two of those people were drunk. And they all weren't small. There was only a 6'4" guy and three other small females. I'm trying to to basically say that you are in a free country to believe as you wish, just as I am able to not believe in what you're saying because I'm looking at what you're saying rather than the evidence that has been proven out there. The crime is horrible and cowardly without a doubt. That is not what we're discussing. I'm constantly using my iPhone camera to take pictures to remind me later where I was and when I was there. Well, Jeff, that's part of the thing that they were saying, that he took some night shots or evening shots of, the sunset or possibly the sunrise that this expert has found on his phone. So that's part of the reason that, there's an uproar because people want him guilty or they want him innocent. The ability to process information is what is up for debate. And that's the unfortunate because some people's processing of information is based on other people's opinion, not their own. If you're able to say, well, this is my perception of what I'm reading, this is my perception of what I'm hearing, this is my perception of what I'm seeing. But when you're blatantly lashing out on people because you want them to think like you or believe like you. I'm currently going to school for criminal justice. I'm almost done with my bachelor's. So I know some things that possibly some people don't know. And does that make me more of a sleuth than them? No, it doesn't. But at the same realm, that information that I'm learning gives me the ability to be objective in a lot of different ways. Kind of like this statement right here. You said, couldn't hold a job, live with mom and dad. The presumptuous is the sheets with his DNA on it under a dead body. Wow. He couldn't hold a job. Based on what? Where did you get that? Because I'm going to question you. I mean, because you just can't throw something out there without qualifying evidence. He didn't live with mom and dad. He lived in an apartment in Washington and he went to school at WSU. He worked there. So give me some more information. Give me some more meat for that bone. Sometimes I feel like if Ann Taylor came out saying she found a cure for cancer, there would be many in the YouTube community that would believe it right away. I hope Cy Ray can reveal some truth. Well, Jeff, you and I have had conversations where we have spoken about always challenging your beliefs or what you see. Get the evidence, do research. Because that research won't lead you wrong. Listening to other people and taking the easy way out and listening to what they got to say or, what they're saying and standing behind without you doing your own research, then you're just spreading gossip, hearsay. It's kind of like that. I was listening to something today, another thing, because I listen to a lot of cases. On the Sebastian Rogers case, there had been somebody that messaged somebody on Facebook. And supposedly, this person is holding Sebastian and has been and refuses to give him up because Sebastian told him that the home life is not a good one. And also they went on to say that he was giving him lithium. People are all over that. How long have you been following this case, Mr. Clark? How long you been following this case? Because if you've been following it from day one or even month number 3, you would know a lot of this. Wouldn't have to show you his resume. Yeah, we already discussed that, Jeff. Better yet, why not take a picture of all the stuff before you throw it in the water? That way you have a visual remembrance of how it felt holding that knife and holding and wearing the stuff and, everything. Why not have a photo collage on your phone so that you can constantly go back and look at and reminisce on how good it felt to slaughter 4 people? You get what I'm saying? WSU got rid of him. Was that in a court document, Jonathan, or was that something you heard on News Nation? Everything will come out at trial. All this speculation is just nonsense. Hi Kim, welcome to the chat. It's interesting that we hear something and we run with it. I've heard a lot of people talk about that game telephone. Let me give you an example. Like growing up in a small town, somebody sees you doing something, it's going to get back to your family, but it's not going to get back to them in the details that it happened. Let's use this case. It was stated by Kaylee's parents that the first that they heard about her, they believed that she was shot. Even the first information that was told of their daughter that something was wrong with her, their first information was that she was shot. So do you see how information gets twisted? Those people that were outside of the home that were saying that they believed there was an OD. Someone was shot. All the information, all the rumors, all everything. That should tell you enough that people will run with whatever they hear and they will just tell anything and everything they know, even if it's not true. None of these people were shot that we know of. None of these people were OD'd. Since day one, true crime, 30 years wouldn't have to, you can't, like I said. WSU said through with you. It's a fact. Okay. I'm not here to call for receipts because I don't have that kind of time. You're free to believe as you wish. You really are. Um, Maybe that should go one of those survey questions that they hand out on their surveys. Have you heard that Brian Koberger has been let go of his job at WSU and fired? Yes or no? It's terrible how quickly misinformation travels. And I've always heard bad news travels fast. I remember the Washington, D.C. sniper had everybody looking for a white van because of what one person said to the media. Turned out they were in a dark blue Impala. That is so true. And that's what usually happens is, Jeff, you and I have talked about this as well, kind of like a car wreck. 4 people see a car wreck. You're going to get 4 different variations of what they saw. So I can ask one person, so Who was driving? What color was the car that hit the other car? What kind of noise did you hear? Things of that nature. Yes, it came from a Twitter account named Gigi, and she sold a story to News Nation. This was not in court documents. Actually, police were called to an unresponsive body. Someone may have passed out. We know what happened. We know why they went there. I'm stating that after the fact, when people were telling their stories, this is what was reported to the families and even to other people. The rumors that they were spreading, the misinformation that they were spreading, and none of it until later on was correct. Email WSU. I'm not gonna email WSU for what? For a while, people thought it was someone in a white pickup. I drive a white pickup. I didn't dare go to Moscow. Good point, Paula. Good point. That was out there too, because based on that video where she said, "What did you tell Adam?" Like I told Adam everything. There was a white pickup that pulled up, a long, loud white pickup that pulled up, like right after they walked past the camera. So I remember during that time that a lot of people were spreading that white pickup had something to do with it. It could have been it could have been the DoorDash driver. It could have been the rideshare driver. I mean, people have placed a lot of different beliefs and rumors on different people, places, and things. It's terrible. He got in two arguments with a professor. WSU got rid of him. Don't spread disinformation. I'm not spreading anything about him getting fired, okay? I could care less whether he got fired or not. Why don't you make a live after you get off here and go spread all this information you want to and get quite a following because there's a lot of people that believe in what you're saying right here. I'm not spreading anything, so don't tell me what to do on my channel, okay? If you don't like it, you can exit the stage left. I've entertained you this long and I haven't been crude to you, but when you tell me what to do, you've crossed the line there. I thought he was talking to me, but I'm gonna go with golf as well. Don't disrespect any of the chatters. It's not your place to call whether you're right and they're wrong or they're wrong and you're right. You don't like it? Kick rocks. My only salvation is mine is a flatbed over 22,000 reports of white Elantra. I bet half of them were not Elantras. Yeah, there's a very good chance. There's a very good chance of that. I'm still waiting on Jeff and I to get our schedules together because we're gonna do hopefully another video on the Elantra that was wrecked in Oregon because he has some information that I find very valuable. Maybe not evidence, but it's interesting to look at. And these Elantra, they're like all over the place up there. They're all over the place down here as well. It's like since this case came about, the Elantra is one of the cars that you spot first above any other. You got the information from News Nation, not court documents or PCA. You need to research who sold them that information and not just eat it up because it was on News Nation. Exactly, Jeff. I see him also, man. I mean, I'm almost tempted to take a picture of him every time I see him. I don't know why, and it's just a habit. Just like, man, I better take a picture of this Elantra just in case they just committed a quadruple homicide and I was on the spot. That way I could show the world that I was the first one to leak the information. Google Trump court documents. Got it. Yeah, that's I'm with you, Golf. But guys, that's about all I have. I appreciate you guys being in this chat. It's been interesting. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, even if you didn't agree with it. Thank you for being here. Um, Hope you keep coming back if you enjoy the content. I don't always do this case very often, but making that video collage made me think about the real importance about who the who the real victims are, and that's the four people. It's not Koberger. It's not about his innocence. It's not about his guilt. It's about the four young people that lost their lives. That would be awesome, Jeff. It's about those four people. And if you didn't see it, I'm going to play it again just for you to be able to see it before we sign off. Take a look at these four people. All the things that you're saying about Mr. Koberger don't make a hill of beans. Because you should be talking about these people and keeping their memory alive rather than just trying to convince people of someone's guilt or innocence. That's silly. Look at these people. Look at them.
When it's time to go, say so, and I'll know. When it's time to go. When it's time to leave, don't grieve for me. When it's time to leave, just wait.
Mr. Clark, that's not what I'm saying at all. You just take my words and you interpret them as you will. But do you see those four people that I just put up there on that screen? How come your heart doesn't break for them not being here anymore? How come you're so fixated on Brian? They lost their lives. Brian didn't. How come your heart's not fixated on four young kids losing their lives and trying to do something in your community to be proactive so this doesn't happen again? Instead, you're on the internet trying to prove your point. It's null and void. It's null and void. Exactly. It's null and void, Mr. Clark. I'm just saying that those four people deserve better than what they're getting right now from YouTube, what they've gotten. They get victimized over and over and over again. They're not here to be able to speak for themselves. They've been called drug addicts. They've been called prostitutes. They've been called sugar babies. They've been called, their personal lives have been dissected over and over and over, victimized over and over and over. For what? How does that solve their crime? How does that bring them justice? It doesn't. It doesn't bring them justice. It just brings them more harm. You're right, Kim. Yeah, I probably would, Jeff. But you guys, I want you to think about that. I know there's some of you that are open minded enough to come to this channel and understand what I'm trying to do here by presenting these things. And in no way am I trying to victimize these four because that's why I do it. I don't care about Koberger. And I hope you hear that loud and clear. I don't care whether he's guilty. I don't care whether he's innocent. That's not my job to find it either way. I get on here to show a different perspective rather than just stick to the narrative that everybody else wants you to believe. Go to their channels. Give them super stickers and money and everything else. Stay off mine with your bullshit because that's not the place for it. This isn't the place for it. As you notice, I don't have thousands of followers. I don't have even 500, which I don't care. I'm not going to change who I am just because you don't understand what I'm trying to get across. And if you don't like it, unsubscribe and don't come back. I lose people every day. It's not a big of a deal. I started with 10. I'll be back down at 10. It doesn't matter to me. So how you like them apples? For the rest of you, I hope you have a great evening, great weekend. Be safe out there and be vigilant and take care of yourself. Jeff, I hope you get to feeling better. I hope whatever you have isn't really contagious and that your family is well. And the rest of you that are fighting anything health wise, continue to fight. Okay? Y'all have a good night. Maestro, choose the music.